The door swung open. Dennis Carter froze, his hand still gripping the handle, the quarterly report slipping from his other hand onto the polished floor. Vivian Rhodes, the CEO whose name made senior executives straighten their ties, stood 3 feet away, her silk blouse half-buttoned, her expression unreadable. The fluorescent lights hummed above them. 11:27 p.m. He'd knocked twice. No answer. Deadline was 7 a.m. He had to deliver the report, but protocol didn't cover this. His mouth opened. No words came out. She didn't scream, didn't cover herself in panic. Just watched him with those sharp gray eyes that had dissected countless boardroom presentations. "Mr. Carter," she said, her voice steady as stone. "Close the door." He did from the outside, his heart hammering against his ribs as he sprinted back to his cubicle. 20 minutes later, his phone rang, her assistant's voice. "Miss Rhodes wants to see you. Now." That walk back to her office would change everything. He just didn't know it yet. Dennis had been staring at his computer screen for 3 hours. The email was clear. Q4 Financial Analysis CEO Review, required by 7 a.m. His supervisor, Gregory, had left at 5:30, leaving Dennis with the unfinished report. Good with it meant too junior to say no. Noah would be disappointed tomorrow when Dennis explained he'd missed another Saturday meeting. But overtime pay meant his son could stay in the gifted program, could dream about engineering camp without his father's face tightening with worry. The elevator to the 20th floor felt endless. The executive floor opened before him, glass walls, expensive art, so different from his third-floor cubicle. Light spilled from beneath Vivian Rhodes's door. He knocked once, waited, knocked again. Nothing. 11:24. 8 hours until deadline. Dennis tried the handle. It turned. Time stopped. Vivian stood beside her desk, changing from workout clothes. She turned toward him, unhurried, and Dennis couldn't move, couldn't speak. The folder slipped, papers scattered. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry," I knocked. Words tumbled out as he scrambled to gather pages with shaking hands. His mind raced to termination paperwork, the conversation with Noah about why Daddy lost his job. "Mr. Carter," her voice cut through his panic. Dennis stopped, hand on the doorknob. "I apologize, Miss Rhodes. I'll submit my resignation in the morning." "Close the door, Mr. Carter." Her tone was calm. From the outside, Dennis stepped into the hallway, pulled the door shut, and ran. His cubicle felt like sanctuary. 11:32. 8 minutes to destroy 3 years of work. The phone rang. "Data analysis. This is Dennis Carter." "Mr. Carter, this is Patricia from Miss Rhodes's office. She'd like to see you now, please." The walk back felt like a death march. Vivian sat behind her desk, the report neatly stacked. "Sit." She picked up the report, reading with focused intensity. "This analysis is exceptional. The variance modeling is better than anything my senior team has produced. Walk me through your methodology." She wanted to discuss the report, not fire him. "I noticed patterns in the aggregated data," Dennis began. "Southwest region anomalies. I requested historical data back 5 years and found an 18-month cycle. Once I had that baseline, I could predict deviations and build the model." He explained the technical details, falling into familiar territory. "And you did this alone?" "Gregory assigns me preliminary scrubbing. It goes to the senior team after. But tonight he left before finishing, so I completed it properly." Vivian studied him. "Your resume showed a gap. 2 years between college and your first position." Dennis's jaw tightened. "My wife passed away after our son was born. I needed to be present for him." Something shifted in her expression. "How old is your son?" 8. "Noah. Gifted program at Lincoln Elementary. He wants to be an engineer. He inherited his father's analytical mind." Dennis shrugged. "He's smarter than me, which is why I need this job. What happened tonight was inappropriate, but please don't let this affect my employment. Noah's counting on me." Vivian leaned forward. "What happened was an accident. You knocked. The fault was mine. What I need to address is waste of talent. You're working as junior analyst with senior strategist skills. Starting Monday, you'll report to Patricia. Market expansion project, Pacific Northwest analysis. High visibility, high pressure. Do you want it? Dennis felt the floor drop. Yes. Thank you, Miss Rhodes. She nodded. Patricia will send the brief. Go home. Get some sleep. Tell Noah his father is working on something important. Monday arrived crisp and full of possibility. Patricia met Dennis with a new badge. Senior Analyst Strategic Projects. Your desk is on the 20th floor now. The workspace was an actual office with a door and window. Friday night, he'd been invisible. Monday morning, he had an office on the executive floor. Conference room A held 4 senior people when Dennis arrived. Gregory stopped short. Carter, what are you doing here? Vivian entered. Mr. Carter is leading market analysis for the expansion project. His Q4 work demonstrated the insight we need. The meeting lasted 2 hours. When Vivian called on Dennis, he pulled up his weekend presentation. I recommend Seattle as primary entry. Lower saturation than Portland. Better household income. Favorable regulatory environment. Portland within 6 months. Vancouver within 12. He walked through analysis, demographics, competitors, costs, risks. Questions followed. Dennis answered each one, drawing on his research. As people left, Vivian caught his eye. Good work. Send me your full analysis by end of day. Weeks blurred into months. Dennis's work exceeded expectations. Noah noticed. You seem happy, Dad. Work's going really well, Dennis replied. But as time passed, gossip started whispered conversations, knowing looks. Dennis tried to ignore it. Then came the morning his office door was ajar. Someone had searched his files. Patricia appeared. Miss Rhodes needs to see you immediately. Vivian stood by the window, tension visible. Close the door. Has anything happened between us that could be construed as inappropriate? No, absolutely not. I believe you. But the board received an anonymous email. Photos of you entering my office late. Meetings behind closed doors. They're suggesting your promotion wasn't merit-based. Dennis felt sick. Every meeting was about the project. I know. The board is calling an emergency meeting tomorrow. Can you document your work, timestamps, emails, everything proving you earned this? Yes. Every analysis, every projection. Do it. You have until 9 a.m. I'm sorry you're being dragged into this. Dennis met her eyes. I'll get you the documentation. He spent the night building his case, every report, every email chain, every note. By dawn, he had a presentation showing someone who'd seized an opportunity with both hands. The board meeting was intimidating. 8 members. Vivian at the head, Gregory called in as former supervisor. The chairman gestured for Dennis to begin. We'd like your response to allegations about your relationship with Miss Rhodes. Dennis connected his laptop, hands steady despite adrenaline. He walked them through everything Seattle analysis, validated by successful negotiations, competitive research that uncovered opportunities, financial modeling that prevented bad investments. Every piece time-stamped and data-backed. My promotion wasn't a gift, Dennis said. It was investment in demonstrated capability. Yes, Miss Rhodes recognized my potential when others overlooked it. But every deliverable has exceeded expectations. The expansion is ahead of schedule and under budget. That's not favoritism. That's smart business. He showed his performance metrics versus the previous analyst: higher output, better accuracy, 92% implementation rate. I understand rapid advancement raises questions, but the only thing inappropriate about my promotion is that it took 3 years for someone to notice I was capable of this work. The question shouldn't be why Miss Rhodes promoted me. It should be why nobody promoted me sooner. Silence. The chairman turned to Gregory. Do you have concerns about Mr. Carter's work quality or conduct? Gregory shifted uncomfortably. No, sir. Carter was always solid, very reliable. Did you consider him for advancement? He never expressed interest in more responsibility. Dennis's jaw clenched, but he stayed silent. That wasn't true. But contradicting Gregory would only hurt his case. Vivian spoke. I'd like to add context. The chairman nodded. Vivian stood. When Mr. Carter delivered his Q4 analysis, it was the most thorough financial review I'd seen in 5 years. He'd been doing senior-level work while being paid and credited as junior. That's our management failure, not his. I promoted him because keeping him there was both ethically wrong and strategically foolish. The expansion's success speaks for itself. She pulled up a timeline showing projects Dennis had contributed to, with annotations about which senior analysts had taken credit. If this board wants to question every promotion based on anonymous emails and innuendo, we need a larger conversation about how we evaluate performance. The temperature dropped. Board members exchanged uncomfortable looks. The chairman cleared his throat. No one is questioning your judgment. We needed to ensure proper procedures were followed. Proper procedures were followed. Mr. Carter earned his position. If the board requires anything else, I'm happy to provide it. But I won't stand by while a talented employee is smeared because someone weaponized gossip. The chairman looked at Dennis. Do you have anything to add? Dennis thought about everything he could say about working until dawn, about sacrifices, about being a single parent, but he kept it simple. Just that I love this job. I'm good at it, and I'd like to keep doing it. The board deliberated briefly before Mr. Fitzgerald returned. Mr. Carter, the board finds no evidence of impropriety. Your work speaks for itself. We apologize for any distress this caused. Relief flooded through Dennis. Gregory approached afterward. For what it's worth, Carter, you did good work. I should have recognized it sooner. Dennis nodded. I appreciate that. The weeks after were strange. Gossip lost its bite. Dennis's work continued to excel. The expansion hit every milestone. People began accepting he deserved his position. Noah's science fair arrived on a Tuesday. Dennis left at 4 p.m. and found Noah beside a suspension bridge model. Dad, come see. It holds 20 pounds. Dennis watched his son demonstrate the project with pride. He's quite impressive, Vivian said beside him. Dennis turned, surprised. Miss Rhodes. I didn't expect. She smiled. Noah sent me an invitation. It said, You helped my dad, so you should see what he's helping me do. I couldn't refuse. Noah won second place. He insisted both Dennis and Vivian be in the photo. You're both part of my team. Later, after Noah fell asleep in the car, Dennis carried him upstairs and stood in their bedroom doorway, looking at the blue ribbon. His phone buzzed. Vivian, thank you for letting me share Noah's victory. He's remarkable. You're doing an incredible job. Dennis typed back. Thank you for seeing what I could do. For both of us. Her reply. You proved it to yourself. That's what matters. 6 months later, Dennis presented final expansion results to the board. Seattle exceeded projections by 18%. Portland was launching successfully. Vancouver remained a future opportunity. Outstanding work, Mr. Carter, the chairman said. The board would like to offer you Director of Strategic Analysis. Director. A career-defining leap. I accept. Thank you for this opportunity. As the meeting concluded, Dennis caught Vivian's eye. She nodded once, acknowledgement between equals. That evening, Dennis took Noah for pizza at the Italian place they'd never been able to afford. Dad, why are you so happy? I got promoted again, which means engineering camp this summer, and the advanced robotics kit, and maybe an apartment with 2 bedrooms. Noah's eyes went wide. My own room. Dennis laughed. Really? You've been so patient while Dad figured out work stuff. Noah was quiet, then asked, Is Miss Rhodes going to be at more of my stuff? Dennis raised an eyebrow. Why? Noah shrugged. She seems cool, and she makes you smile different. Mom would have liked her. The comment hit Dennis unexpectedly. You think so? Noah nodded seriously. Mom always said you needed someone who saw how smart you are. Miss Rhodes sees it. That's what you told me, right? Dennis felt his throat tighten. Yeah, buddy. That's exactly what happened. Later, tucking Noah into bed, his son mumbled sleepily. I'm proud of you, Dad. Dennis kissed his forehead. I'm proud of you too, Noah. Every single day. The following week, Dennis moved into his new office bigger, with meeting space and a better view. Patricia helped move files. Miss Rhodes is pleased. She doesn't say it often, but she is. Patricia headed to the door, then paused. I've been her assistant for 12 years. I've never seen her fight for someone the way she fought for you. She believes in you. Don't forget that. Summer arrived with Noah's engineering camp. Dennis drove him to drop-off, watching his son vibrate with excitement. You're going to do amazing things. Noah hugged him. I learned from the best. When you stopped thinking you couldn't, everything changed. I'm just doing the same thing. Alone in his car, Dennis thought about Noah's words. Everything had changed the night he'd opened that door. Not because of embarrassment or scandal or even promotion. It changed because someone had asked what he was capable of and believed him when he showed them. The expansion wrapped successfully. Dennis hired his own team, mentored junior analysts, made sure hard work was recognized. The company thrived. His team thrived. He rebuilt his life into something he barely recognized, one where he didn't choose between being a good father and being successful. 1 year after that awkward night, the company held its annual gala. Dennis attended, uncomfortable in his rented tux but determined. He was about to leave early when Vivian found him. Leaving so soon, Mr. Carter? Her tone was teasing. Noah's with Mrs. Kowalski. I promised I'd be home by 10. Vivian nodded. Then I'll say this quickly. Thank you. For proving that taking risks on people is worth it. For showing my board that merit matters. I should be thanking you, Dennis said. You changed my life. Vivian, she corrected. After everything, I think you've earned first names. Dennis smiled. Vivian, thank you for seeing me when everyone else looked through me. For fighting for me when it would have been easier to let me go. You fought for yourself, Dennis. I just made sure you had a fair battlefield. They stood there, and Dennis realized something he'd been avoiding. He respected this woman, admired her, was grateful to her, but more he liked her, enjoyed her company. Looked forward to their meetings not just for work but for conversation. I should go, Dennis said, though he didn't move. Vivian smiled. Tell Noah I said hello, and that I expect to hear about camp at our next meeting. Dennis laughed. He's going to talk your ear off. Good. I like hearing about his projects. Reminds me why the work matters so kids like Noah can have opportunities they deserve. Dennis drove home, feeling contentment he hadn't experienced in years. His phone buzzed. Vivian. That night you walked into my office. I was exhausted. Fighting with the board, trying to prove I deserved my position. Then there you were terrified and clutching that report like it was the most important thing. I read it after you left. It was brilliant. I thought, finally, someone who cares about the work as much as I do. You weren't an accident, Dennis. You were a reminder that excellence shows up in unexpected places. Dennis read it 3 times, then typed, That night I thought I'd destroyed my career. Turns out I found it instead. Thank you for seeing past embarrassment to the work. Her response, You were never a risk. You were a certainty. Sleep well, Dennis. Monday's meeting started normally, Dennis presenting, Vivian asking sharp questions. But this time, people looked at him with respect. Earned respect. After everyone left, Vivian said, You've built quite a reputation. Dennis smiled. We built it. This company does well because you invest in people. You're being modest. I'm being honest. 1 year ago, I was junior analyst. Nobody noticed. Today, I'm director with my own team. That doesn't happen without someone creating opportunity. Vivian moved to the windows. And it doesn't succeed without someone being ready. You were ready, Dennis. I just opened the door you'd been knocking on for 3 years. They stood in silence, looking at the city. "Do you ever regret it?" Dennis asked quietly. "Promoting me so quickly? Dealing with scandal and gossip?" Vivian looked at him directly. "Never. Not once. You've been one of my best decisions as CEO. The gossip would have happened regardless. Women in leadership learn early that people will question our judgment, especially when we promote men. I refuse to let their small-mindedness cost this company a talented employee." "Noah thinks you're the coolest person he's ever met," Dennis said. Vivian laughed genuinely. "High praise. How's camp planning?" Dennis grinned. "He's driving me crazy with questions. More excited than anything else in his life. You've given him something precious. Permission to dream big. My parents never did that. They had a specific path for me. I became CEO despite their expectations. Noah has something better, a father who believes in his potential. He deserves every opportunity to become who he's meant to be. He'll have those opportunities, because you've built a foundation and shown him what it looks like to work for dreams instead of waiting for them." She checked her watch. "I have a board call. But Dennis, thank you for this conversation. You remind me why I do this job." Noah's camp presentation arrived with perfect summer weather. Dennis took the afternoon off and found Noah making final adjustments to an impressively complex robot. "Dad, look! We programmed it to navigate obstacles." Dennis watched his son demonstrate, explaining programming logic and mechanical design. This was what the long nights had been for, so Noah could stand here, confident and passionate. "They're impressive," Vivian said beside him. "Noah's explanations are clearer than some of my senior engineers." They watched together, Vivian asking intelligent questions that made the kids excited to explain more. After demonstrations ended, she turned to Dennis. "This is what success looks like. Not quarterly reports or expansion projects. This a child pursuing passion because his father made it possible. He's lucky to have you," Vivian said quietly. "A lot of parents would have given up, taken the easier path. You didn't, even when it was hard. That's the definition of strength." Dennis felt his throat tighten. "I learned from watching you, how you fought for your position, refused to let anyone diminish your authority, demanded respect instead of waiting. You taught me that being underestimated doesn't mean accepting less. I didn't expect that. When I promoted you, I thought I was correcting an obvious oversight. I didn't realize I was investing in someone who would remind me why the fight matters." She smiled. "Thank you, Dennis, for being proof that taking chances on people is the right call." Noah ran over. "Miss Rhodes, did you see? We came in second." Vivian crouched to his level. The obstacle navigation was particularly clever. Whose idea was the proximity sensor? Noah beamed. "Mine. I remembered bats use echolocation, and thought we could do something similar with ultrasonic sensors. Brilliant application. That's innovative thinking that leads to breakthrough designs. Dad says you're the smartest person he works with. You should come to dinner sometime. Dad makes really good pasta." Dennis felt his face heat. "Noah, Miss Rhodes is very busy," but Vivian smiled. "I like pasta, and I'd enjoy hearing about robot designs. If your dad is willing to host, I'd be happy to accept." "You don't have to actually come," Dennis said after Noah ran off. "He's 8. He doesn't understand professional boundaries." Vivian raised an eyebrow. "What if I want to come? As friends? To celebrate Noah's achievement?" Friends. The word hung between them. "Unless I'm misreading this. We've worked together over a year, been through crisis together, respect each other's work and enjoy each other's company. That sounds like friendship. Unless you'd prefer strictly professional." Dennis thought about the past year, late-night sessions turning into conversations about life and dreams. The way Vivian asked about Noah with genuine interest. How she'd fought for him when she could have let him go. "No, I'd like to be friends. I think we already are." "Good. So, dinner next week? I promise not to talk shop unless you want to." Dennis laughed. "Fair warning, Noah will dominate conversation with engineering talk. I'm counting on it." Text me the details. The dinner happened on Wednesday. Vivian arrived with flowers and a book about famous engineers for Noah, who immediately dragged her to his room to show every project. Dennis cooked pasta and watched his son and his boss, who was becoming more, discuss bridge designs. They ate at his small table, conversation flowing easily from work to books to Noah's MIT dreams. Vivian shared stories about being the only girl in engineering classes. Dennis talked about Kelly, about grief and adjustment, about learning to be both parents. She'd be proud of you, Vivian said quietly after Noah went to bed. Kelly, she'd be proud of how you've raised Noah and built your career. Dennis swallowed hard. I hope so. Some days I'm not sure I'm doing either well enough. You're doing both exceptionally well. Noah is confident, curious, kind, and passionate. That doesn't happen by accident. And your career, you've exceeded every metric. Stop doubting yourself. Is that professional assessment or personal? Vivian considered. Both. Professionally, you're one of my best decisions. Personally, you're someone I admire, someone I enjoy spending time with, someone who reminds me that success is sweeter when shared with people who understand the cost of earning it. Dennis set down his mug, heart beating faster. I feel the same about you. You've changed how I see myself, what I think I'm capable of. You made me believe I deserved more than survival. You always deserved more. I just helped you see it. They sat quietly, city lights visible through his window, and Dennis felt the year's journey settle around him. He'd started invisible, working desperate late nights. He was ending it as director, a father with resources, and unexpectedly as someone who'd found friendship with a woman who'd seemed untouchable. Thank you, Dennis said, for everything, for seeing me, for fighting for me, for being here, treating my son like he matters. Vivian met his eyes. I had to, because that's what you do when you recognize excellence, you cultivate it. And because you and Noah have become important to me, not as subordinate and CEO, as people I care about. The words hung weighted with unexamined meaning. Dennis nodded slowly. You've become important to us too. Noah talks about you constantly, and I value our friendship more than I can express. Vivian smiled with understanding. Good. Then we're on the same page. She left shortly after, and Dennis stood watching her walk to her car. They were friends. That was enough. You like her, Noah's voice said from his bedroom doorway. Dennis jumped. I thought you were asleep. Noah padded out in pajamas. You like her. Like her. It's okay, Dad. She's really cool, and she likes you too. Dennis sighed, pulling Noah into a hug. It's complicated, buddy. She's my boss. And we're friends. That's plenty for now. Noah squeezed tight. Mom would want you to be happy. And Miss Rhodes makes you smile the way you used to smile in pictures with Mom. That's good, right? Dennis felt tears prick his eyes. Yeah, buddy. That's good. Now back to bed. School tomorrow. Lying in his own bed later, Dennis thought about Noah's words, about Kelly and the life they'd built before cancer, about years of survival mode, about the woman who'd walked into his life because he'd walked into her office at the worst moment, about how that terrible night became catalyst for everything good. His phone buzzed. Vivian, thank you for tonight. Noah is remarkable, and you're a wonderful father. I'm grateful to know you both. Dennis typed back. Thank you for coming. It meant a lot to Noah. And to me. Her response. Let's do it again soon. I enjoy seeing the life you've built. It reminds me there's more to success than quarterly reports. Dennis smiled in the darkness and set his phone aside. Whatever this was, friendship, partnership, something more waiting to be defined, it felt right. Natural, like pieces clicking into place after being misaligned for years. He fell asleep thinking about possibilities, about futures that had seemed impossible, about a woman who'd seen him when he'd been invisible and refused to let him stay hidden. Months followed with new rhythm. Dennis and Vivian remained professional at work, but their friendship deepened outside. She came to Noah's school events when possible. They had dinner weekly. Noah adored her, and Vivian genuinely enjoyed his company, engaging with engineering questions like they were the most important conversations. At work, Dennis's reputation grew. Projects succeeded. His team became known for innovation. Whispers about favoritism faded, replaced by earned respect. Gregory eventually apologized properly. The board that had questioned him now regularly requested his input. 1 year after the engineering camp, Dennis found himself back in Vivian's office. But this time, she had news. "I'm recommending you for VP of Strategic Development. The board approved it this morning." Dennis felt his breath catch. "VP? I've only been director for..." She held up a hand. "Long enough to prove you can handle it. The expansion exceeds projections. Your team is strongest in the company. You've earned it." "I don't know what to say." "Say yes. Say you're ready. Say you'll stop being surprised when people recognize your worth." Dennis laughed. "Yes, I'm ready. 2 years ago I walked into your office at the worst moment. I thought it was the end. Instead, it was the beginning." Vivian stood, moving around her desk. "That night changed both our lives. You reminded me why I fight to create opportunities, why merit should matter more than politics, why taking chances on talented people is worth the risk. You've made me a better leader." They stood there, 2 years of growth between them. Vivian extended her hand. "Congratulations, Vice President Carter." Dennis shook it. "Thank you, Vivian." That evening, Dennis took Noah to the fancy steakhouse. "A VP, Dad. That's huge." Noah bounced in his seat. "Does this mean I can get the advanced robotics kit?" Dennis laughed. "Yes, and we can start looking at bigger apartments, maybe one with space for a workshop." "Can we get one big enough for Miss Rhodes to visit more often?" Noah asked innocently. "She's at our place a lot now. Don't you want her to have a comfortable chair?" Dennis felt his face heat. "Noah." His son grinned. "I'm just saying, she's basically family now. You should probably figure that out soon." Out of the mouths of 8-year-olds. Dennis shook his head, smiling. "Eat your steak, kid." But watching Noah, Dennis couldn't help thinking about what his son said. Vivian had become family. Someone whose presence was woven into daily life, whose absence would leave a gap. Someone he looked forward to seeing, whose opinion mattered, whose smile made his day better. 2 years ago, his life was defined by loss and limitation. Today he was VP, his son was thriving, and he had friendship with a woman who challenged and inspired him. All because one embarrassing moment forced a conversation that revealed his potential. All because someone looked past the accident and saw the person underneath. Dennis pulled out his phone. "Noah wants to know if you'd like to come to dinner this weekend. We're celebrating, and apparently you're basically family according to an 8-year-old. Her response came quickly. "Tell Noah I'd be honored, and tell him he's right, you are family. Both of you." Dennis read it twice, feeling warmth spread through his chest. Family, not by blood or marriage, but by choice and shared experience. He typed back, "Saturday at 6. I'll cook something special." Her reply, "I'll bring dessert." And Dennis, "Congratulations. You've earned every bit of this. I hope you finally believe that." He did believe it. Finally, after years of doubt, he believed in his own worth. Not because someone gave it to him, but because he'd claimed it for himself, with support from people who refused to let him settle for less. Dennis looked at his son drawing robot designs and felt profound gratitude. That night, lying in bed in his new apartment with space for Noah's workshop, Dennis thought about journeys and destinations, about how the scariest moments sometimes open doors to the best places, about how being seen, truly seen, can change everything, about a woman who'd looked at a terrified junior analyst and recognized someone worth investing in, about a son who kept pushing his father toward happiness. His phone buzzed. "Vivian, I've been thinking about that night 2 years ago. You walked in mortified, and I saw past embarrassment to quality work. But I didn't tell you I was impressed by more than analysis. I was impressed by your courage to knock on that door at all, to deliver that report personally, to do whatever it took. That courage made me want to know more. The talent just confirmed what I suspected, that you were someone special. Dennis read it 3 times, then typed, I walked through that door expecting disaster. Instead, I found someone who saw potential where I'd only seen limitation, someone who refused to let me hide, someone who became one of the most important people in my life. That night changed everything. Not because of embarrassment, because of what came after. Because of you. Her final text. Sleep well, Dennis. Saturday can't come soon enough. He fell asleep, smiling, dreaming of possibilities that 2 years ago would have seemed impossible. Dreaming of a future built not on survival but on success earned and recognized. Dreaming of a life that started with an accident and became something intentional, something meaningful, something that felt finally, impossibly, wonderfully like home. The end.